Check, check. Alrighty. Well, good evening, everybody. This is first stream I've done in a long time. Still not very good at it. We're going to get good at it, hopefully. So, tonight we've got some Kerbals hanging out on Gilly, where we left them without a fuel tank for their engine due to an engineering oversight. So, we are going to go get these guys. Looks like they're on the dark side right now. You'll notice they don't have a fuel tank, even though it kind of looks like one. It's a shroud from a decoupler covering a heat shield. I put this part onto their rocket thinking that it was a fuel tank because it had the decoupler on it already, and I forgot to verify that. So we've got a lander crash landed here at Gilly. I'm sure we could use the reaction wheels alone to get it back up. But we've got three guys, three Kerbals, two gals and a guy, I guess. There's actually five Kerbals here. We're going to go rescue them. So, earlier today I started building a rocket. I've finished the return stage. Let's see if it transferred from my other computer. I use Dropbox to synchronize these. If anybody's interested in learning how to do that, let me know and maybe I'll make a quick tutorial. I've never made a tutorial before, but hey, can't be that hard, right? Anyhow, let's see if this rocket made it. Gilly pickup. There we go. Load. Yes, good. It made it. Okay, so what we have here is a rocket inside of a rocket. Let's pull this piece off here. And what we have here is the return vehicle. This piece is coming back from Gilly. I really don't know how much capability I'm going to need to get them back in terms of fuel. So I put a nice large chunk of fuel on there. This return vehicle is not designed in any part to land back on Kermin. So it will be docking via this docking port with a space station I currently have orbiting the planet of Kermin, at which point I will send up some other sort of vehicle to get them back to the planet. So let's reattach this portion. I was in the process of building the launch vehicle to get it up into space. Looks like I need to edit the shroud just slightly. There we go. I'll close. It's alright. We'll do it like this. Boom. Everything is fully encased. Got a nice clamshell deploy. 4 sides. It'll be a great time. Okay, so let's finish building the return vehicle. I'm assuming this is going to be a nice heavy lift rocket because I really don't know how much thrust we're going to need to get into orbit. 1.24, that's pretty decent for a thrust to weight ratio. This is Kerbal Engineer Redux, by the way. It's a nice little add-on to use for determining your capabilities of your rocket. 3,313, that should be enough to get to orbit. Let's put some fins on here and let's try it out. I'm not playing in the hard mode or whatever, so my rockets are able to... Here, we use this guy. Symmetry. My rockets, or my game is fully able to revert missions. The only issue we're going to have is because this guy is upside down, and in here there's a mech jeb, so I might have to manually fly this perhaps. And it might invert our nav ball. But let's see what we can do. If we put a different secondary MechJeb controller on there, maybe it'll help us out. Let's put it up here near the top, right here in this black spot. That looks good. Maybe that'll help us keep our rocket properly oriented on the launch pad. Alright, we have a rocket. No idea if this is going to work the way I want it to. But hey, let's launch it and find out. Only one way to find out, right? It's a big, tall rocket. This thing might not fly very well. Alright, yeah, we're going to use the MechJeb ascent guidance here. Yeah, see, it's pointing at the ground. Primary is the other one, so control from here. There we go. Cool. Orbit attitude, 80 kilometers, be fine. Inclination 0. Staging, big main engine. Fairing, that guy. Let's put those into two separate. Could have done that in there, but that'll be alright. Gauge autopilot, go. See how this guy works. Okay, so obviously we have some problems right now, being that the top portion of the rocket, let's go ahead and blow this fairing off so you can see what I'm talking about. Oh, and we just blew up the whole rocket. Sweet. So let's go ahead and revert to the vehicle assembly bay. So our top portion of the rocket here is not very stable inside this fairing. So let's see what we can do. Does this have an option? Auto strut, rigid attachment on. Let's do auto strut and see if that. No. Truss, structure clamshell. I've never tried this, so let's see what we can do. You know what? I think we're just gonna put some struts in there. It's not we'll just manually do it. Structural struts. We'll create nice four-way symmetry. Starting from here, we'll go up to here. And let's see if that helps our launch out at all. We're going to be experimenting a little bit as we go. Stop at stage. Once again, I forgot to put these in two separate stages. Let's stop this at stage 2 and engage. Sometimes it won't auto-engage and you have to hit the space bar to make it engage. That's a nice heavy rocket. Control from here. Maybe that'll help. Probably should have done that initially. Alright, so MechJeb is a cool little add-on that will automatically control a rocket for you during the ascent, and you can have it calculate things for you like interplanetary trajectories or intercepts for other objects in space. In this case, we're simply using it for getting us into orbit. However, I think this rocket's CG might be a little messed up, because we are way too horizontal right now for a successful launch. And it just shut the engine off. All right. Back to the vehicle assembly building. So, how can we fix this? Where is the center of mass exactly? So we have a lot of mass at the bottom, not a lot of mass at the top. I can't remember if that makes it more stable or not. Let's find out what the Google says. Rocket center of gravity. Center mass. In front of the center of pressure. RSP. I apologize for not a whole lot going on here. I am looking at a fantastic wiki trying to figure out where I should put the CG. I don't know. Oops. I do believe that it's too top heavy though, and maybe the CG should be more towards the top. There's not enough weight up there to make that happen, so I feel like we need to offset that. Somehow. Maybe I can put some sort of deployable weights up here. And you know what? I might have just the thing. Where's it at? Utility? Anchor. How heavy is that? 1 ton? It's not very heavy. I don't know. I want the rocket to stay straight. We may just have to adjust our flight profile, that's all. It should fly. It really should. I don't know why I put a mobile processing lab in there. Maybe if we take that out. But I've got things attached to it already, so we're just gonna leave it. It's useful for passengers too. Let's just give it a few more fins. Maybe that'll help. It's off. Maybe 6 symmetry. Maybe a couple more fins will help. Alright, save it, launch it. We also adjust the launch profile a little bit, and we should be better, I think, at what we're getting. Okay. Stop at stage 2. Once again, forgot to make these separate. And we want to show ascent, nav ball guidance. Nope, we want, where's it at? Edit ascent path. Here we go. Okay. So, right now, it's going to follow this trajectory, very flat, whatever. So we're going to change this. Turn start altitude from 0.5 kilometers to we're not going to let it turn until it makes 50 kilometers too high. How about 30? 20 might work. Turn start velocity 500 meters per second. So it won't start turning until it reaches either of these. Turning altitude 60 kilometers. Final flight path angle. Turn shape. Maybe I can leave this at 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5. 0.5 Yeah, so we'll just make a more vertical type of turn and see how this goes. Engage autopilot. Control from here and go. This ought to be fun. See how it goes. Already flying the wrong direction. And now trying to correct itself. Are these engines vectorable? I'm not even sure they are. I don't think they are. That's going to be a problem. Could be part of the reason we're having trouble launching this bad boy for vehicle assembly. Alright, well, since we could probably use a little bit of extra thrust to get this sucker into orbit anyways, faster, let's drop this back down to 4 fins. And let's get some couplers. These will work. I don't think we're going to need 4 of these, but 2. Drag them up higher. Right about there. We're going to need some fuel tanks. We're going to get some big old tanks. So there. There, okay. Let us bring these back down a little bit. Okay, and we will add some engines to that. The mainsail, big powerful engine, and also vectored thrust, so it'll help this rocket turn better. Maybe those fins aren't quite what we want either. 25 degrees, closer version. This should work. They're a bit big, but they should work. Alright, we need this fancy rocket nose cone here. See what that does to our center of mass. CG basically. Way down there. Center of pressure maybe? Center of thrust, okay. Well, one last thing we need is to keep these guys here from going nutsy cuckoo on launch. Just to put some struts in here to hold them nice and steady. We're gonna do another set. Alright, so those will pop when this pops. Let's fix our staging here. Now another one there. We're going to launch all of them at the same time. We're going to blow those at the end and pop the shell, break off the decoupler. Alright, so one of the cool things about fuel. One of the cool things about these rockets is you can get a lot of burn time out of them by doing something like this. Now what'll happen is these rockets, all the engines will burn the fuel from this tank and this tank before it ever starts on the center tanks. Maybe we can actually remove a tank now. Move this guy down here. Take this off, take this off. What can we do now? What do we have? We've got lots of thrust and plenty of stuff to get us there. And our center of mass is much closer to the nose now. Let's see if we've accomplished what we set out to do. This is probably not going to work because I didn't put any launch towers on it. Huh. Surprising it hasn't fallen over yet. Alright then. Remember remember what this was on. I'm going to say 25% maybe. It's just, yeah, 25%. Okay. Alright, engage autopilot. Control from here. Let's see how this works. So the main engines have no vectored thrust, but the two boosters do. Somehow I have a bad feeling about this. I'm gonna have to figure out how to make a rocket that can fly top heavy. Alright, so the reason it throttled down the engines is because this is auto-limiting to 20,000 some sort of pressure. This stands for some sort of pressure, I can't remember. And the angle of attack is also being limited as well. It's trying not to exceed a certain angle of attack, which means the relative wind compared to the rocket. Look, we're already way off. We should be lined up with the runway. But hey, if we get to orbit, we get to orbit. That's the first step in this rescue mission. Auto staging. Ooh, we are so lucky that didn't blow up our rocket when those went. I forgot to put some separatrons on it. Those are little rockets that'll blow it up and away, blow them out and away from the main rocket before as they fall, so that they don't hit the main rocket like that one did. Well, so far we're getting a much better climb. If you notice here, we're not anywhere near our desired shape for our gravity turn. However, we are not bad. Wow, this is a really terrible texture going on here. It's like this texture mod I have is completely taken over all the land. I'm gonna have to see if I can fix that later. Definitely not pretty, but... Oh no, our rocket exploded. That's not helpful at all. Well, back to the lunch. Back to the drawing board. Sometimes you just gotta try again. Let's see if we can fix the graphics real quick. Not sure why that texture is doing that, but... Looks like our enhanced environmental or environmental visual enhancements, I guess, environmental visual enhancements plugin is all jacked up. All right, tell you what. In the interest of awesome graphics, I'm going to quit out of the game momentarily, and we're going to come back in, hopefully with our graphics fixed and looking awesome. So right now they don't. Stand by on the visuals. I have it set up so it only shows the game and nothing on the desktop, so give me one moment and I'm running something in the background to hopefully fix the environmental visual enhancements. Basically, I'm uninstalling them and I'll be reinstalling them. Yes. Continue. All right, apply changes. Apply. Okay, it's currently downloading the new version, which will hopefully fix the issue. And then we'll continue. Taking a minute to download. Apparently it's a pretty big size download. Here, let me see if I can show you what I'm doing here. No, doesn't want to show up that way. No big deal. Window capture. That's probably what I needed to do. So I'm using open broadcast software, and I'm actually actually having trying to learn it better. So this is what I'm looking at right now. It's called CCAN. It's a little program somebody wrote to manage mods for the game. So what it's doing is it's downloading these mods. I had a couple updates I had to run as well. What it's doing right now is it's downloading a bunch of zip files, and it'll then install them in the correct folders automatically, thus installing the mod. Just makes it really easy so you don't have to open up the folder, unzip things, rezip them, or put them in there. Make sure you get all the configs, remove them manually. You can just unclick the checkboxes over here, the manage mods, which will show you just a second when this is done. For some reason it's locked to this tab. Kind of silly if you ask me, because that could be done in the background while you're browsing for other things, but this program might get better as time goes on. Yeah. Stuck at 89%. There we go. Seems to be downloading really slowly for some reason. That's unfortunate, but you know, people have servers that, you know, all volunteer. They don't have a whole lot of bandwidth sometimes, so. Just about done, and we'll get back in the game and hopefully rescue them Kerbals with some actual, you know, decent looking planets. Download complete. Processing. Installing. And done. All right, so this is what it looks like. You can browse through all of these, and if you check the checkbox like these are, it'll install it as soon as you hit apply changes. The update dash here will also turn into a checkbox if there's an update in that category. And let's get back into Kerbal Space Program. Fantastic. We are loading a pretty game. It's actually loading all the mods and whatnot that I've installed, including that one we just put in that makes the planets all look much prettier. has hopefully been fixed, since I completely destroyed it somehow. Not exactly sure how I did that. Okay. We have Kerbal Space Program. Yay! And resume the game. Alright. Back to the vehicle assembly building. We have to make some changes on our rockets. I'm assuming that the Gilly pickup. Assuming that the fairing did not go as far away as hard as it should. So let's up this ejection force to about 400. Maybe that'll help us. Maybe also add a 5th side so we have less possible, more debris, yes, but less possible ability for each individual panel here to impact anything. Alright, so we did get up higher in the space than we did the first time. We're going to put 2 of these guys on here to just kind of hold it on the launch pad. We did get higher into space the last time we did this. We just blew up our rocket as we were going. So, let's try again, shall we? We want to control this from here. Stop at stage, in this case, 2. Stop at stage 2, auto deploy, solar panels, auto warp. Go! Alright, because we have these holding on with mech jab, it won't auto deploy until we hit space. Woo! I should have made those all on the same stage, and I didn't. So we got lucky there. I'm guessing, yep, it's still wobbling. Okay, so we got a vehicle assembly building. We got to fix our return vessel a little bit. We got a lot of wobble up here. It's all top heavy, and so the way we fix it is struts. So what we're gonna do is we're going to auto strut to the root part. Auto strut to the root part. To the root part and root part. Root part. I really don't know if this is going to help, but we're going to try it and see. So auto strut is a capability of the game. I don't know if it's part of a mod I have loaded, but I think it's part of the base game. It allows the program to simulate the same kind of struts I put on the base plate here up to the cockpit inside this capsule. It allows the game to simulate those through each of the parts without actually drawing them. So since we forgot to do this, let's do that. Engage autopilot and go. And we'll see if we are wobbling as much as we did before. It doesn't look like it. Looks like we're not coming through the casing, at least, not clipping through. Definitely not flying a nice flat straight trajectory as like we wanted to, but oh, part of the problem is we're looking at the wrong, I'm guessing, the wrong mech jeb controller. Those things can get fishy. So control from here. There we go. Now let's try. See if bad boy works the way we wanted it to. Already blowing stuff up. Revert flight to launch. I think we just blew up the launch pad and the rocket actually survived. But we don't want to do that. So drop these guys in there with that. Control from here, engage the autopilot, and finally launch. Hey, so far we got a nice flat launch. That's good. We're turning. Starting to fall over. And adjusting our course as necessary. Let's try to maintain vertical for a little bit before it starts to turn, and there it goes. It's not very good at piloting this. This thing must be like really ridiculously top heavy or something. Once again, we forgot to put separatrons on these, so we may blow up our rocket again by mistake, you know. And once again, we are definitely not lined up with the runway the way that we should be. If we look at our map, oh yeah, our inclination is way off. Way off. Oh, there they go. What did we blow up? Did we blow anything up? No. Good. Our rocket is fine. We just blew up the external fuel tank. Let's see how it goes. We got lots of fuel left in this stage. We may not even actually burn all the fuel. We'll see. Pretty soon it's going to start coasting once this 50 here hits 80. Apoapsis height, just above 80,000. It will cut the engines and it'll begin to coast the rest of the way to orbit. And hey, I think we're actually going to make orbit this time, guys. That's fantastic. It's not the prettiest gravity turn that I've ever seen in this game, but looks like we're going to actually make orbit. So you might see it puffing a little bit. It'll pulse just a hair. All right, we didn't blow up our shuttle vehicle either. You might see the engines pulse just a little bit. What it's trying to do is keep the apoapsis above 80,000 because that's our target orbit altitude. While we are in the, this is our current altitude, while it's below 70,000, we're in the atmosphere, which causes atmospheric drag. We're high enough now that it doesn't care as much, so it is letting it drift to its new target where it's trying to fix our inclination, I believe, at the same time as it's getting us into orbit. We'll see how it does, huh? It deployed our solar panels automatically, so we should have plenty of electricity generation once the sun comes out. And we are burning a large amount of fuel. Looks like we're gonna have maybe just barely under what we actually need in this stage in order to get to a full orbit of 80 kilometers, fully circularized orbit 80 kilometers. Not a big deal. We can go ahead and disconnect this, and then we will use the nuclear engines to finish out our orbit and circularize it as necessary. But yeah, we're definitely going to have just barely under enough fuel. So not bad, not a bad launch. We're definitely going to get into orbit. We just may not be completely circularized like we hope we were. Like we would hope we would be. 6 seconds and 3 seconds, maybe about 3 seconds too short. And that's not good. Alright, swap. And we want to turn as quickly as possible because we got to burn prograde like crazy. We went past. 67, 68, even if we get this above 70, we're good. Burning towards the ground. We don't want to do that. Okay, we're good. We can work with that. 71 and 90. It's a little non-circular, but we can work with that. So, not the greatest launch of all time. but a launch that worked. We have no operational SAS modules. Are you telling me my autopilot I put in here doesn't have a SAS module on it? That's really annoying. What do we use? Advanced inline stabilizer. I did not put a RoboFlyer in this thing. I don't think I put a probe core in this thing like I was supposed to. What's this? And that's really going to be quite problematic. But then how is it flying? How am I controlling it at all if I didn't put one in there? Strange and wonderful question to answer. Alright, oversight. We're not going to be able to take this one to Gilly. Sorry, guys. I know we keep launching the same rocket again and again and again, but it's not going to work the way it is. We have to have some sort of autopilot module in order for us to fully be able to land and control this thing away from where we are. Alright, remote pilot assist available. Let's see what it can do. Delay program retrograde, maneuver, tracking hold. What's this? Everything we need. Okay, good. We're gonna drop this guy inside this bay. Right there. I think we're going to want to turn it over, though. There we go. I don't know if that's required, but it might be in order to allow the rocket to orient properly. Save. What did we do last time wrong on this launch? What can we do to fix it this time? Let's add some more fins. Fins are great. Let's put this guy on there. That's pretty close. I don't know if that'll help or not. We're also going to drop some separatrons on there because we want to push this guy away from the main rocket. We'll fine-tune that a little bit. There we go. 3 to rotate. Want the thrust vector to go that way. 2 to move. We're going to embed it a little bit inside. That'll work. So what this is going to do is it's going to push the fuel tank up and away. And we're going to take a second one of these and drop it down here in much the same way. But it is not centered like I want it to be. Good. Now it's centered properly. 2, drag it in a little bit. There we go. Cool. So these separatrons should now push the guy away. And we want to put them at the same level as these decouplers. Drag that guy into there with that. No, come on, get in there with the main engines. There we go. Alright. I have no idea if this is going to do what I want it to do now. But I think we are good to try. We get into orbit again, hopefully, right? Alright, mech jab, ascent guidance. This doesn't work this time. I'll just go ahead and try and manually fly this thing. That'll be good. Let's go for 10 kilometers off the ground and at least 500 meters per second. Gauge autopilot. Go. So we're going to try and stay vertical now, just to maintain a vertical profile. We're not traveling nearly fast enough to do that apparently yet with these fins. So the rocket, Mech Jub's going to try and spin there. Oh, you know what I've done? I've done it again. Revert flight to launch. I keep forgetting to set the control. We only have barely enough rocket juice to get into orbit, so we need to make sure we actually do this all the right way. Stages stop at 2, and I think we're good to go. Other than that, here we go, guys. Let's launch this bad boy of a rocket. And yes, it is a bad boy of a rocket. It's not behaving very nicely. See, it's already starting to tip over. It's very top heavy. I feel like we should have the center of gravity up here near the top rather than down here at the bottom. And I think the CG is so heavy down here because of all this fuel, and up here is just a really light payload compared to the size of rocket we're launching. We're doing a pretty good job keeping it vertical right now, which is good because we can go ahead and pick up that speed that'll let those fins start being effective, and hopefully line ourselves up with the direction, the inclination we want to be at, although it doesn't appear like that's going to actually happen. We're going to start our turn momentarily, if you see right here. And it looks... There we go. Cybertron's worked really good. Looks like we're going to have a nice vertical profile here. We're not turning very fast. And that might just be because we don't have enough oxygen or air pressure to do this at the moment. Hang on 1 second. So obviously you'll see that, sorry for the distraction, a family member come in and need to talk to me. Obviously you'll see that the textures weren't fixed properly. I have no idea what's going on with that. I'm going to have to experiment, play with it a little bit, maybe just remove the mods. And we also don't have enough fuel again to get fully into a circularized orbit, so we're going to go ahead and disconnect. We're going to flip this guy around 180 degrees. Track prograde. This is part of the built-in game. It's really nice, useful for autopilot. Alright, once we track prograde, we are going to burn at max until we get our orbit up where it should be. Since we're a little bit past our apoapsis already at this point, our apoapsis height is now increasing as well. So we should burn prograde along this specter until we get that up to where it should be. Maybe we should burn to the maneuver target. That might help us get up a little faster. Yeah, there we go. Get our periapsis height up, 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 up. And hopefully we won't burn all of our fuel out before we need to leave. Alright, this is obviously not working the way we want it to, so... let's burn torque radio out. We just gotta get this above 80. I don't even know if we're gonna have enough fuel to do what we want to do. What I'm trying to do now is pull the entire orbital circle in this direction to bring both the apoapsis and periapsis above. Flip around and do it the other way then. We are not having a good orbit. Not even a little bit of a good orbit right now. Where are we at on our orbit? Right there. I want to burn away from the planet, but yeah, that's not going to help us at all. We are pretty close. Are we moving toward the periapsis? We just passed the periapsis. Excellent. So we're going up. Let's go ahead and go to ascent guidance. We're good to go. Let's go ahead and get ourselves a maneuver planner. And let's circularize our orbit at the next apoapsis. This part's pretty cool. Remove all nodes, create the next node. So what it's going to do is at this point here, it's going to circularize our orbit like that. We're going to execute the next node, which is going to then automatically point at this node here. And then MechChev is pretty cool. It's smart enough. It'll actually automatically warp the game to the next point. And hopefully we have enough fuel in this lander. Get all the way to Gilly and back. I was hoping not to use any fuel on this thing until we got into a stable orbit in order to leave Kermin. So part of the issue we're going to have now with this game is we're going to have to warp a ridiculously far amount. Oh, look, all the textures are back. Look, all the cities disappeared. Maybe it's just the city lights at night that we have to worry about with those textures. But I still don't think there should be quite that many. Still pretty sure there's a bug. Alright, look. See, we are very quickly approaching our orbital height that we want. Fantastic. And let's now find out how we can get to Gilly, huh? Alright, advanced transfer to their planet. Pork chop selection. Let's rendezvous with Eve, because that's where we're going. So, we want the lowest AV. We have to wait 156 days. 156 days. Alright, well, that's too long to wait manually, so let's go ahead and bring up our Kerbal alarm clock. That'll be helpful. Add a new one. Transfer window. Let's set this to Eve. Perfect. And this is saying we only have to wait 50 days. Oh no, this is saying a year and 247 days. Wow. That's more than this. I feel like that can't be right. Alright, well, Kerbal alarm clock does not do what I want it to do, so let us do a raw time alarm. Attach to active vessel. Set it for 156 days. Do 155 days and 3 hours. 0 minutes and 0 seconds. 155 days, 3 hours. That'll put us at... Oh, departure at any time now. Lowest AV. We are in the departure window. Right? Lowest delta V. Okay, well. Let's forget this alarm. I apparently don't need that. So let's create the node. Node in 21 minutes. Go ahead and execute that node. Fantastic. That's going to save us a lot of... waiting and warping. Okay, so turn off this rendezvous. We don't need to know that information at the moment. A whole lot of information in these flight engineer and mech jeb that I don't quite understand yet, but we're learning. So what's going to happen is we're going to warp to our 20 minutes. You'll see the warp time going up now here. We're going to warp 20 minutes in the future. And what we are about to do, we are about to burn in a retrograde direction from the orbit of the sun. What I mean by that is Kermin is orbiting the sun in the opposite direction of the way we're about to burn. But we are orbiting Kermin in this direction, so we're still getting a speed boost and orbiting in the same direction Kermin is rotating. A little strange, yes, but fantastic game this one is. Turn all the lights on, turn them all off. Cool. So we have some nice bright lights there to illuminate our spaceship when we get into the darkness of space. Which, since we're going to be flying in direct sunlight for quite a lot of this video, will not actually happen. Cool though, huh? So, this is a nice long 3-minute burn. We have 9 minutes of fuel to burn at this high maximum thrust, so we should have enough to get back, no problem, after we make insertion into Eve, get onto orbit around Gilly, which is the moon, enter orbit into intercept the lander, which is going to have to make a launch with maneuvering thrusters only, and meet up with into orbit, and then we can intercept it from there. This craft, as you can see, has no landing capability at all. Not even once we get back to Kerbal. We're going to have to dock with a space station back here. So hopefully we'll have enough fuel to do that as well. And if not, we may have to just cheat. So this craft's center of gravity is right here along this band that goes around this orange fuel tank here. Just barely forward of that, as a matter of fact, right here. And I know that because I built this craft in its entirety before I put the other launch mechanism on this end of it. That makes all these thrusters I put on it as balanced as I could make them. I had a little add-on, I don't know if it's still installed, that would help you balance your RCS thrusters, but I don't know that it's still installed. So I am burning 4 nuclear engines right now at max. They only take liquid fuel, and apparently I brought a bunch of oxidizer. That might have helped to reduce the weight and give us more fuel into orbit. We'll see, this one I reduced the oxidizer to 0 before we launched, and this one I forgot and I left it in. But these nuclear engines, they only burn liquid fuel, so you don't need the oxidizer. A little late here, so almost 10 o'clock. Yeah, no, I know, late, right? Not for a gamer, but for a dad with 2 kids who has to get up in the morning for a job, that can be late. Anyways, we're just about finished with our burn here, another 40 seconds, and we will be lined up. We haven't even reached escape velocity yet, but we're very quickly approaching it. Once we reach escape velocity, it'll drag this arm of the over there. There we go. See, it's dragging it over there. Count about 20 seconds left. Reaching escape velocity very shortly here. We've already reached escape velocity. We're reaching the intended trajectory very shortly. We're going to be not right on, but we'll be pretty close. So it's pretty close, but it's not perfect. You saw it was just a minute hair off. No big deal. So, now we are on an intercept. Gilly. Oh, as a matter of fact, we already have. Look at that. We already have an encounter. That's rare for me to experience. Let's focus over here and see what we're gonna get. We are on not the same inclination. No big deal. We can fix that. So let's zoom back out and somewhere here, perhaps, add a maneuver. So we're gonna quick save before we do anything. This is where we're gonna encounter Eve. So it's rotating around here, and we're gonna be rotating around here and falling inward towards it, and we're gonna meet up at the same place. I think Eve may make 2 rotations around the sun before we meet up with it. 1 rotation and then a full rotation and then a half rotation before we meet up with it, but I'm not sure. Anyhow, we're focused here so we can see how we're going to actually affect our course. What I want to do is I want to bring in this like so. I want to try and make our course here at this planet as close as we can to what we're actually trying to do, because we want to match this orbit eventually. Unfortunately, the angle at which we're going to intercept is not going to help us. So here, let us can I move you around? Alright, that's fine. Where's the ascending and descending nodes? Lever planner, this is no longer needed. Descending node, ascending node is going to be right at, so we don't have a lot of time. Unless we want to miss this encounter and have to create a completely different one, we're not going to have time to match planes with the target. So what we're going to do instead is go ahead and get into orbit in this off plane that doesn't match the plane we want. We're going to try and put our periapsis as closely on the orbit as we can, because that will at least give us a partially matched orbit. Alright, so that's what we're going to do. Oh, we're very far outside the orbit. Okay. So we need to bring it in here, down just a hair. Excellent. Okay, so that'll put at least one of our points right on the orbit. Now, matching this orbit can be kind of a pain because it's an elliptical orbit that is not centered. It's got a high eccentricity from the planet, not centered on the planet. So I'm trying to decide if I really want to do this or if I want to bring my orbit to inside here a little bit and then catch up. No, I do want to do this. So what we're going to do is when we get to this point, after we execute that first node, what we're going to do is we're going to come here and we're going to burn retrograde. Ooh, that's already part of a problem. We'll be going the opposite direction from the moon that we want to catch. So let's go ahead and delete this one. Let's modify this one. And what we're going to do is pull this over to the other side of the planet. We want to be going in the same direction as the planet we're trying to catch. Orbitally. Okay. So now, here, when we add a maneuver and we burn retrograde. Yes, 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 yes. At least we will be going in the same orbital direction, and we can alter our orbit from there. Okay, great. So let's bring up our maneuver planner because it has this fantastic little execute next node button, which only barely any fuel to create the next node, so that's good. We're gonna get a... I just like to keep it on circularized because it's a nice small interface. Alright, and so what we're about to see is we're about to burn, and you'll see our purple line here become this dotted purple line. But we've got to wait 72 days, so if you'll notice it speeding the warp on the top left there, here's our ship. It's going to go until here before it burns. Here we go, we're getting ready to burn. And as soon as it burns, you'll see this go down. I could watch the burn from outer space, but it's more interesting to watch the orbital dynamics going on here. So we're going to see our orbital marking line here. This orange line now was purple before, now it's orange. Because it's the next line in the queue, so to speak. It's not the that was purple now, so it's not we were still in the Earth, the Kerbin's sphere of influence. No longer are we there. So now this is turned orange. Alright, so we're about to burn for 6 seconds, starting at T-minus 3 seconds. That averages the burn before and after the actual point itself. There we go, and... Ooh, how close are we going to get to that? That's spot on. Look at that. MechJeb can do a great amount of work there. Okay, so let's delete that. Our new periapps is here. Add a maneuver. Control nose locked. Ah! You know what we forgot to do? We got to extend our antennas. Luckily, the game lets us do that because we're not in super hardcore mode without being actually in mode. So now that we've done that, we have full navigational access once again. We're not going to have a whole lot of extra fuel to get home, I don't think. That. Add another maneuver. We're in retrograde. Yeah, we're not going to have a whole lot of extra fuel to play with, so let's go ahead and leave this a little bit out. Okay, and simultaneously I want to try to Rotate this into the same plane. Shrink it down a bit more. Alright, so what I'm trying to do is in a single burn, match the plane we're trying to get to, and set up an encounter. Alright, so we've pretty closely matched the plane. And there we go. Okay. And we have a slightly wider orbit, which means that we can now set up an encounter this guy. Alternatively, I could make a smaller orbit, and I'd be the faster orbiting body in this case. But in this case, 825, I don't know that we're going to have enough fuel to get back. I didn't bring enough fuel, I think. The problem with Eve, especially with Gilly, you know what? Port node execution. Maybe we can aero brake. Could be real dangerous. Tell you what, we'll just give it a shot, and if we run out of fuel, we'll cheat ourselves back to Kermin, because we can. And we'll learn from that experience, and we will move on for next time. Alright, so 86 days left on our trip for this rocket to get here. There it is. We're coming in closer and closer, and very soon we will meet. Go. We have entered the sphere of influence of Eve, and now we are making our way to our next maneuver node here, and we will begin taking our fantastic escape trajectory that we have and reversing it to make it, and changing its orientation to make it fit this dotted line we've created. Which is going to take 825 meters per second of our fuel. We only have 1740 meters per second left, so we don't actually have enough to get to Gilly and back using this ship the way it is currently designed. And that's really unfortunate, because I thought we had enough fuel. I built this big ship thinking it would have enough fuel, and it totally didn't. I even added that extra fuel tank, this one right here, this white one, because I was like, this orange one's not going to have enough fuel. So I guess I'm going to need 2 of these orange tanks. So it doesn't look like it's moving much now. It's moving very slowly. But as our burn keeps going for the next 2 minutes and 30 seconds, it will eventually maneuver itself into as close to the orbit as it can get. Luckily, we actually have enough fuel to accomplish this orbital insertion burn. But sadly, we're not going to have enough fuel to both rendezvous with Gilly and get back home. I'm not sure if Gilly still has a ship or a fuel tank flying around it or not. See the lander or the ship showing up on it at the moment, so might be out of with sensor range or something. Anyhow, our escape velocity is still Our velocity is still well above escape velocity, and we are very quickly changing it into an orbit. I'm pretty excited about that. Hey, I just see you guys hopping in. Sorry, for those of you I missed. Kind of a noob when it comes to streaming, so please forgive me for that. Anyways, our orbit is very quickly coming to match our intended orbit now. Remember, we're doing this all with a crewless, remote-controlled rocket, so that's pretty cool. I'm obviously going to have to make changes to this design of this ship as well, so we'll just go ahead and burn this one up in the atmosphere when we get back. Well, no, this will probably make it easily to the moon and Minmus and whatnot as a two-way shuttle. That'll be helpful. Honestly, Gilly's gravity is so small, I could probably just land this ship right on it, but I'm not going to do that. Alright, here's our target. First thing we're going to do is match planes with target. That'll make it easiest. 3.2, that's cool. Execute node, that'll put us right in line with it. Okay, warping to our point here, a maneuver node point right here. I don't know why it chose to do it right there when the ascending and descending nodes are here, but hey, MacJeb does some strange things sometimes. It's very accurate though. There we go. It's going to pop a very little amount of fuel. It's going to line us up quite nicely with the yellow line there. There it goes. Alright, now our planes are aligned quite nicely. We do not, however, have any actual intercepts with that target. So, that being the case, right about here, I want to run retrograde just slightly so that I create an intercept. Over here is what we're seeing. Closest approach is going to be that, so what we can do, we can change our orbit in order to create an ideal encounter. We can create an encounter manually by doing it this way. So 993, very slowly ticking down the distances by just making changes to our orbit. I'm burning retrograde, which slows us down in the orbit, and then what this is doing here is it's actually shifting the direction of the orbit. Not the direction, it's shifting the orbit as a whole to one direction or another. In this case, I'm shifting the whole orbit, I believe, this way. I haven't quite figured out how it all works, but as I learn, so will the audience. Alright, we want to try and get this down to, what is this? Encounter with Gilly. Fantastic. focus view on Gilly. Now we can do the same thing here with our maneuver node that we do with the other planet. Right now we are there. We can modify that. We want to kind of get as low as possible. Not quite that low. Variances. Because our rinky-dink space shuttle on the surface not have a whole lot of fuel. We can get down to 5,000 meters or so. It's very touchy. It's like an acceleration right there. 5,000 meters, that should give us enough space to orbit Gilly without hitting anything, and also be pretty close to our little Gilly lander here. We will change planes once we arrive here. We'll launch this guy and get it into orbit, and then we'll change planes and maneuver to intercept. So, execute our next node now, and that'll bring our approach to here, at which point we will slow down by burning retrograde and creating ourselves a nice little orbit. It's going to take a lot more fuel than you think to get to Gilly because its gravity is so minutely small. Like, its gravity is ridiculously small. It's scary how small gravity on Gilly is. You can actually reach escape velocity with a single Kerbal using maneuvering jetpack thrusters. It's ridiculous. You can almost land from orbit using maneuvering jetpack thrusters and then still get back on the same set of fuel. So, worst comes to worst and we can't get our guy into our ship into orbit, we should be able to get our little Kerbals into orbit because they all have full jetpacks. Okay, fantastic. So we now have an encounter. Let's add a maneuver here. Burning retrograde. I thought it was going to take a lot more fuel than it looks like it's going to. And it appears I want to play nice. Alright, so we should have 5,090, 5,033. That's pretty darn close. And a nice, fancy circle. It doesn't touch the surface at any place. What we're going to have to do, I think, in order to avoid whacking into this thing at any point, is we're going to have to probably maneuver these guys to this. No big deal. It's a graphical glitch. This guy's actually on the surface of Gilly here. Alright. Let's bring our orbit in. Nice and tight. We'll do this one. Ooh, what's this? Gilly Lander probe. You know what? That may have some fuel. And if it has a docking port, we might be able... to scavenge some fuel. We'll have to check it out after this burn is done. 20 kilometers away, so we might just be able to flip over to it, but I'm not sure. A 2-second burn starting in 6 minutes. That might be doable. We're so close to the surface of Gilly at this moment, we can't warp quickly. So we're going to have to actually wait, it looks like. No big deal. Fourth node execution. Get us there as fast as we can. As we get closer, I'll enable the node again and let it handle warping on its own. Just don't want to sit in here for 8 minutes. Are we still in orbit? Yes, we are. Okay. A little nerve-wracking sometimes when you see the moon. I think we're going to crash into the moon, guys. Our orbit does not match what I'm seeing visually. Yep. We just crashed into the moon. Fantastic. And the last time we saved was before we left Kerbal. So, obviously, this is not representative of the actual size of Minmus. Oh, it's terrible. What happened? Wow. Okay, then. Well, we know we needed to go back to the drawing board anyways, right? So, back to the drawing board. Ouch. That was painful. I did not like that. All right, this doesn't have enough fuel. We need to add some fuel. Don't worry. What I think I'm going to do is add another one of those tanks right there in the middle. That's going to require me to rebalance entire CG and this entire rocket. So, I think what we're going to do we're going to make some pretty drastic changes here. We're going to yank this off, pull this guy down here, pull this off, get rid of that, put that guy right there. Take this guy. Come on. There. Don't have enough to get to orbit probably. Let's see, we got just under 3,000. What does it take to get to orbit? ESP, urban orbit, delta V. The Google says delta V requirements. Here we go. Alright, low Kerbin orbit, 3,400 meters per second. So we don't have quite enough delta V yet. We can fix that. What I'm looking at here is, by the way, this right here, which is an addition of this plus this. So we have 2,921 meters per second in the first and second or fourth and second stages, which is these two rockets and this engine burning, and then for the fourth stage, and then these two boosters getting dropped, and this one continuing to burn on its own. We have 2,921 delta V. We need more than that. Get to space. Yank this. Let's take one of these. jam it in there like that. Drop this back on like that and see what we get. 3168. This says you need approximately 34. It's not a very pretty rocket though, is it? Alright. What do we get if we do this? Come on. There we go. 3388. Definitely not a very pretty rocket. Take that off of there. Bring it upward as we can. That off. Bring that to there. 3388. That should be pretty close with a good orbit for ascent. Where's our center of mass overlay? Ugh, it's so low. I don't think you can clip things onto the fairings. Speaking of the fairing, I need to edit a little bit. There we go. Oh, it's a horrible rocket. Horrible rocket. How am I going to do this? You know what? Let's see if this thing flies. Always fun to find out, right? If we get the orbit, we get the orbit, and if not, we'll have to redesign the rocket another night. Mission failures. Oh. Yeah, struts. Struts are important. Revert flight to VAB. The cool thing about reverting is it undoes everything you did. So if you mess something up, undo it by reverting. But you can't do that if you are in like hard mode. Alright, struts. Let's put another one on there. You know, for safety. There we go. Alright. Those were not in symmetry mode, of course not. Why would they be in symmetry mode? That would make too much sense. Automatically put it in symmetry mode, right? Boom. And, of course, this one. Boom. And boom. Okay. Save. Let's see if we can launch this bad boy into the outer space and get it all the way to Gilly and back. This will have to be my last attempt for the night. It's really unfortunate, by the way. We were unable to make that maneuver last time. Alright, if this doesn't launch properly, we're just going to have to give up for the evening. Go vessel from here. Ascent guidance. Engage autopilot. Fly. Alright, alright. I messed it up because of staging. We're not going to go back to the VAB, but we are going to quickly fix our staging and then try again. Alright, those are correct. That is correct. Where is the mains? Why is that way up there? There we go. Okay, stop at stage 1. Control from here. Engage. Fly. Really tall rocket, and I feel like we're gonna have some really wobbly problems. Oh yeah, we're wobbling pretty good. Our ascent profile is terrible. Already. Oh, that's bad. wonder if I put some fins on the top of it, if that would help. Alright, tell you what, we're gonna make... Oh, I can't do it. That's because that's what the fairing is. Fins only on the bottom. I was thinking some sort of like canard things up here, but the fairing will not allow that to happen the way it's built. I guess the moral of the story is don't try to lift a rocket into space using another rocket. Make it a staged burn. Well, we're going to see how this works, but I don't foresee it working the way I want it to. I don't think we're going to have enough delta V left to make orbit with this ascent profile. This is a really crappy ascent profile. It's about to blow these as soon as we get into space, too. Surprised it hasn't already. We must have a very small amount of fuel left in them. 0.71, yeah, like, that's ridiculous. Like, it'll lose those, like, really quick. And we only have this one tank here. 6,000 liquid fuel, again with the oxidizer. Oh, yeah, this part needs oxidizer, but I forgot to take it out of the other tanks up there. That might be part of the problem. Alright, tell you what. Let's go. Let's make this launch as efficient as we can. We got to reduce some weight up top. Alright, this tank, no oxidizer. This tank, no oxidizer. This tank, no oxidizer. Fantastic. Those tanks, yes, oxidizer. This is gonna probably not work. We're gonna try it out anyways and see what we can do. Symmetry. We're just gonna see if those help at all. Somehow, I doubt it. Matter of fact, I think they'll probably make it worse, but you never know. Alright. Control from here. Stop at stage 1. Engage autopilot and go. Oh, the staging. We are going to go back to the VAB this time because I'm tired of having to switch that on time. Alright, each launch. Alright, this rocket engine needs to be down there with that one. Separatrons. Decoupler in its own. And go. Alright, I think we got the rocket pretty good, pretty well set up now. This is our last attempt. Literally, this is the last attempt. After this, whether it works or not, we're going to let it launch into space or destroy itself. And then I'm going to bed. Go. We are flying. I don't know if the fins on the tops of those boosters are going to be helpful at all. I don't feel like they're being much help. It's still very unstable. I wish there was a way to find the center of pressure. So apparently the center of pressure is different than the center of mass. The center of mass of this guy is like right here. And the center of pressure must be somewhere up here forward of it. Center of pressure, I'm not exactly sure what it means, but I'm going to read about it and maybe next time we'll talk about it. But it is supposed to be underneath the CG. So the CG should be up here, the center of pressure should be down here somewhere. That's not what we're experiencing, which is why our rocket is so unstable. As we burn fuel, we move our CG towards the nose of the rocket up here, which will then give us the ability to have a more stable rocket. Like you see now, our CG has moved forward enough that our rocket is stabilized. Let's remove the limit on the angle of attack and try and get this bad boy going the direction we want it to go as fast as possible. By those. And we are coasting and rolling, apparently. Flipping and spinning. No idea what this thing is trying to do. Probably because I limited the angle, or unlimited the angle of attack. It tried to turn too sharply. I probably should have done that earlier in the profile rather than up this high. So we have approximately 1703 meters per second in this stage right here to get us. Yep, see, once again, we don't have enough to get into a circularized orbit. We're going to have to use some from our tanks here in order to finish it out. Because we're going to have to disconnect and spin very quickly around, and it's just going to be a giant mess like it was last time. That is our tanks, our boosters, those two right there. Alright, we're about to burn out. Disconnect, switch, shoot to the maneuver as quickly as possible. And start our burn. Let's see if we can get this thing back into orbit properly. I don't think we're gonna make it properly into orbit considering how far past the apoapsis we already are. At least we're not going to hit the dirt anymore in a couple seconds here, though. Using a lot of fuel. All right, we're going to make it. Fantastic. 70, we are in orbit. Safely in orbit. Alright. So that can go away. MechJeb maneuver planner. We're going to raise our periapsis height to 80 at the next apoapsis. Create node. Execute the node. Which is going to require barely any burn at all. And then once we do that, we're going to circularize. And that'll give us a nice, quick jump towards the next planet. As a matter of fact, 80 kilometers is fine. You know what? Abort node execution. Remove all nodes. Let's just go ahead and change our circularize at the next periapsis. Create and execute. So what I want to do is bring my apoapsis height down to the periapsis height at 71,000 kilometers, is just barely above the atmosphere. And what that's going to do is it's going to give us the ability to get as much speed as we possibly can from the gravity of this planet to launch ourselves toward Eve. This ought to be a quick burn. Yep, 28.4 meters per second. Hardly anything left of what's left in our tanks. I think we might have enough fuel this time to actually get to Gilly and back. Alright, bringing that down to... We don't want to get below 70, so we're going to call it good right there. Perfect. Fantastic. Alright. Now, let's transfer to another planet. Rendezvous with Eve. Lowest departure anytime now. Create node and execute. Let's go to Eve. The 1030. See, our faster speed has dropped the amount of delta V we need. From the last time, I think it was like 1300 or something on the previous one. I'm scrolling back in my history on the video to find out how much it actually required before. Maybe we have a little bit more this time actually. This one, the last one was saying like 970 or something like that to get there. No big deal. Cool, I'm getting some sweet spam on my comments here. Review. Go ahead and trash that one. Report it spam or abuse. And that one, spam or abuse. Sad that I have to do that, but unfortunately, people feel like they can advertise their product on other people's channels in the comments section. It's just not very cool. Alright, so we are burning hard for Gilly right now. It's going to be a 5-minute burn. And what we are going to do is actually warp up the acceleration so that it turns into a much quicker time. So this is a physics warp, and that means that everything is being simulated still. It's not being paused and run on rails like a normal warp is. And sometimes these components, if they're not very stable, can like crack and shatter themselves because the physics in the Unity game engine is not super fantastic. It's not a super accurate physics simulation, so to speak. Alright, so as we get closer to the end of this, I'm going to drop the warp back down to real time so that the system has enough capability to process and get everything set up properly. To process its individual ticks and whatnot, not to process every fourth tick, but process each individual tick and be more accurate that way, is what I'm trying to say. It's a little late at night, so not really thinking super clearly. No big deal though. A lot of things orbiting my planet at Kerbin. Alright, so we have 156 days in space to wait. Same window we had before. Excellent. Alright, let's see. Did we get an encounter this time? We sure did. Excellent. Focus view. What do we got? Not terrible. We are again going the wrong directions, so we are going to want to modify our orbit. Speed it up, bring it around so that we are headed the opposite direction. That right on the line, no, a little further out. And we want to bring it down. All right, so we're doing the same thing we tried to do last time, obviously. We're not getting a great angle on this. We do there. Anything? No, that's not gonna help us at all. Okay, so we're not getting a great angle, no big deal. Execute the node. Go ahead and bring this to a circularize. All right, so we're setting up for the burn. It's only gonna be 33.3 meters per second. We have plenty of fuel this time, I think. Got a whole bunch of extra fuel, got rid of all that extra oxidizer, got up into orbit more efficiently, didn't have to use too much fuel. Circularizing our orbit, luckily. All right, so we know that orbiting that low around Gilly is a bit of an issue. 5,000 meters, not going to work. But while you're watching that do its thing, let me look up its statistics. What an excellent crossing we have here. Yes, that'll do quite nicely. Add a maneuver. Oh, once again, antennas. We've got to remember to extend these. Gotta have antennas to talk. Add maneuver. Alright, once again, we're going to bring this back. It's gonna cost us a lot, probably again. That's how it works. I'm going to try and match the planes as best as possible. Axis right there. That right there will give us 2 opportunities. We meet at 854. I think we might be good this time around. A 3-minute burn, still a while, but I think it'll be all right. All right, I'm gonna continue while you're watching this guy burn his self into orbit. So you looking up various statistics that I need. Hmm. Okay. I cannot find a specific lowest orbit radius. So what I'm going to do is start at 7 and then move down as necessary. Alright, since we got that up, we're going to go ahead and increase the physical warp factor to try and get this burn to go faster. And as we near the end, we will go ahead and slow it down again. Okay, looks like we're going to have a good orbit, and we're going to have to come up with our fantastic rendezvous. Alright, well, changing the target confused it, so no big deal. Match planes with target. Create node, execute node. Matching the plane gives us a better opportunity to find a rendezvous. Of 2,200 meters per second of fuel left, that should be enough to get us back to Kermin. Here we go. All right, burn in 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, burn. Perfect. Looking good, Hollywood. Okay, so right now we've got closest approach there. We need to choose. How is that the ascending and descending? No, that can't be possible. We're going to put our maneuver node right there. And we want to start bring in this guy where we want him. Ugh. How about there? Okay. Closest approach. Very helpful. Ooh, not helpful either. Okay, well, in this situation, we just turn on the warp and we wait for it to get as close as it's going to get. Alright, so the closest approach is right there. That's going to require a lot of delta V to get it back out. So, I think that we want to do this. Execute next node. So what we're going to do is line it up a little bit better so we can create a better situation for our orbit finding. Except I want to do that elsewhere. Be here. Yep, let's do that. It's actually less delta V, and it still keeps a wider orbit while at the same time reducing our contact points on the orbital plane to 1 rather than 2, which will make it easier in the long run for us to find a meeting point, closest approach. Okay. Now, kind of on opposite sides. We need to wait till we're closer. So, let's let him catch up. That is maybe something we can work with. Ooh, that's really, really close. That's running to the dang ground close. So, 10,800. We can go there. Let's do that. Execute next node. Whee! Nice fast warp. Slightly slower warp. And we are getting much closer to the burn. So a lot of people fly these themselves and they'll manually do the burns and they'll manually do everything. I actually really like MechJeb. I feel like it's more realistic because in today's day and age, I doubt that a pilot would be actually manually firing the engines for these maneuvers. They would be all computed and controlled by a computer, monitored by the pilot for changes as necessary. Okay, so let's go ahead and add a maneuver here. Bring in our periapsis. We're just going to go ahead and circularize. Right there, like so. And hopefully this time we won't run into the dirt again. That was a pain last time. All right. Let's get in position. 18 days. Wow, that's ridiculous. About to enter our sphere of influence here at Gilly. There it goes. And we will get to the periapsis. We're going to watch this one again as the moon looms up at us. And hopefully we don't crash into it this time. That was a big pain last time. All right, this is going to take 9.8 meters per second. Which incidentally is the speed you would be moving if you fell on Earth gravity for 1 second. from a stop. Be a real quick burn, and then it will hopefully be in orbit around Gilly. All right, with 2,205 meters per second left to go. We have a weak signal, but we do have a signal. Excellent. We are in business at 11,000 meters. So let's switch over here. And let's see if we can't get this guy into orbit around Gilly. Has no fuel tank. All we have is RCS. And not much of that. Hey, we might make it. Apoapsis. $7,000. Target 11,000. Let's see if we can get 11,000. Let's do 10,000. All right. Now, prograde. Turn that off. Let's open this antenna, and we'll open this solar panel as well. Hey guys, we might actually do it. Time to periapsis 52 minutes. I don't care about periapsis, apoapsis 18 minutes. So coming over here. Six meters per second. Ooh, this is going to take a little bit of flying. All right, so we're using monopropellant. Not very much either. We started with 70, by the way. We're using monopropellant to enter orbit. With this bad boy from Gilly. That is ridiculous. There's Gilly. There's a flag. Gisella's slope. Yes, I have been here before and landed. Actually, Gisella there. She landed with a jetpack and took back off with a jetpack. She did not. Oh, we might be going the wrong way. Now we're going the right way. Good. She did not have any fancy-dancy spaceship to get her down and back up. Oh, she did it with a jetpack. It's taking a while. Let's see, 15 minutes divided in 4, that's what, 3.5 minutes or so? 3 hours, 3 minutes, 15 seconds? Something like that. Still a lot longer than I wanted to wait. Let's hope we get some better warp going on, but apparently this close to the surface you can't warp without physics. If you notice, we have a liquid engine with 0 fuel, and that's on account of all of our RCS thrusters. Hang on, do we even still need this engine? We decouple that thing? We don't need the landing gear anymore. Gonna decouple that. That'll increase some of our ability for monopropellants. Inflated, yay! Also, not needed. That'll reduce the weight on our little spaceship here. And give us a slightly better response from our... Yeah, see, only 4.7 meters per second needed now. Let's reset this. Add maneuver. Let's drop that back so our time doesn't go while we're doing this. Coapsis and periapsis. Switch wind. There we go. So hard to do it when you're right on the edge like that. And there we are. Close enough. Alright, that's close enough. Whatever. 3 minutes left. Plenty of monopropellant. To make this happen, only 4.7 meters per second needed. I've got a lot of monopropellant for that to happen. I have no idea how to calculate that into meters per second, but there we go. 54 seconds, 30 seconds, 20 seconds. All right. This is going to be a ridiculously small amount. RCS on. We're in orbit, ladies and gentlemen. Fantastic. Now, we've got 26.64 left. Let's just try and match planes with our target, huh? I mean, the other one can plenty of monopropellant. We can maneuver to meet this now that it's in orbit. So as long as we don't screw up our orbit, let's go ahead and save. Let's use our... This one doesn't have a mech jet on it. Okay, well, that's nice. We gotta do everything manually. Here on our descending node. Add maneuver. I'm going to try and do that. Whoa. These little adjustments I'm making are kind of a pain. Especially when you've got two competing directions of movement. Rotate that in. Ah. All right, let's start this bad boy over. The problem, I think, is that we don't have anything touching. Maybe the ascending node. I'd maneuver there. What happens if we do this? Oh, same problem. Nine 9.3 meters per second. Sure, we can do this in 2 stages. Let's do this in 2 stages. Or up to the next maneuver. The explosions you're hearing are this debris crashing on the ground at Gilly. That would be the engine we jettisoned, as well as the heat shield. Now, if you recall, we can do this ship to match because we got plenty of fuel and match planes and whatnot, plenty of fuel, but more fun to do this. Although I am thinking we should try to extend our orbit out some so we can get above 20,000 and get another faster. Do that. Okay. No mech jet, that's right. Everything manually. Alright, whatever. Close enough. this green line shows that I have communications to something out there. Assuming it's Kerbin, but could be a relay satellite. Looks like it might be direct to Kerbin. Interesting. Kind of cool. Gotta quit wasting my monopropellant. Great big nothing on this rock, isn't it? So what I'm doing is I'm expanding the total size of the orbit so I can get above 20,000, hopefully getting that extra warp. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom. Alright, I still got 19 propellant left, so let's see if I can go ahead and match planes with this other guy. This time, hopefully without changing the size of my orbit, although it looks like it's going to anyways. Maybe not. Oh, it totally did. I don't know why it does that. Sometimes you can like change it without affecting the size of your orbit. Other times you can't, and I don't know why. I haven't figured it out yet. I might have to do with the eccentricity of an orbit. Like if you look at this orbit, I don't think it's perfectly round, although it should be. Anyhow, we will drop maneuver node. Go ahead and do that. We'll try and keep these good to go within the same plane. Alrighty. We're getting darn close now. Kind of a balancing act to find the right plane and the right distances. 28 and 25. There we go. Alright, we want to get that maneuver node. Exactly. 8.1 meters per second. If we could do this, we'll be set. If we can do this, we will be set. So it's gonna be 2 hours and 42 minutes before we can do that. Wow. Around the whole orbit. So we'll just sit back and watch that warp happen as fast as it's allowed to happen. I guess 20,000 is still too close to get that extra warp point. Extra warp speed. It's going to take us about 1.5 minutes to get to the point we need to get to. The rendezvous is going to be the worst part because we're so close to Gilly and its orbit, its gravity is just so low. It's not giving us the quick orbits like we could have at Kermin, no matter what altitude we're at. And excuse me, we're so close to the ground we can't warp any faster than we are now. All right, we are coming up. On our target. 12, 11, 10 minutes. 5 minutes. 1 minute. 8.1 meters per second. I'm thinking this will probably take about 15 seconds, so 10 seconds. We'll start at 5 seconds on the clock. All right. Bam. We got a good looking plane now. All right. We are done with this spaceship for now. Let's get back to our other spaceship. We are now on the same plane. And we did it all with RCS, a minuscule amount of RCS, I might add. Zoom in here and make this our target. All right. Because we have 2 circular planes, we could do something really cool called 2 circular orbits on the same plane. We can use something really cool called the Hohmann transfer to target. What it's going to do is going to create a node, and it's going to say when we get to this node, it's going to burn, and it's going to make us burn out so that we intercept the target here at 0.3 kilometers and here at 0.2 kilometers. Both of those are perfectly acceptable to me. We're going to execute that node, and after that, we're going to then create a circular match target velocity, match velocity to target, create that node. What that's going to do is it's going to first give us the Hohmann transfer to the target, and then match velocity so we end up in the same exact orbit at very close distance. So, I think we are ready to do this. Go ahead and F5 to save. In case we screw this up, we got plenty of fuel in the engines for this maneuver. We want to use only engines for this maneuver, so go ahead and execute all nodes. We're going to go ahead and watch it from here because sometimes we might mess up and we want to make sure we get it just right. Luckily we quick saved before we started this. Alright. We're burning away from the ground. Abort node execution. Open. Let's control from here. Close just to make sure. Execute all nodes. Okay. It's lined up properly. I guess it's going to be lined up facing the sky on this other side where it does where it's going to actually do the maneuver, is why it looks like it does. For the final burn to here, final velocity match burn, we will actually be outside looking at the spaceship. But for this for the Hohmann transfer burn, we want to actually watch the map. We can match this trajectory as close as possible and cancel it if it screws up. It shouldn't, it's pretty accurate, but ooh, we're gonna go around the entire planet another time. Okay. That makes sense. The spaceship on the outside is traveling at a slower rate, and we need to make sure that it is in the right position so we can intercept it when we get out there. Ah, you see the red line sometimes. It's shooting to another satellite with a relay dish on it somewhere here in the solar system. When it's behind the planet from Kermin, it can't get a direct shot to Kermin. This green line here turns red and shoots off in this direction whenever it's in the shadow where it can't see Kermin directly. It's bouncing its signal off of a relay satellite. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we might just pull off a rescue. I think we might do it. A lot of trial and error, but we are doing pretty good. This has been a long stream so far. We're almost at 3 hours. Or 2 hours and 40 minutes. Wow. Hopefully we'll be able to get back and get these guys safely on the space station surrounding Earth. And then we'll send some sort of shuttle or recovery ship up to pick them up. But that'll be another video. We just want to get them back to Kermin on this stream. Alright, here we go, approaching the node. With the Hohmann transfer, it'll slow down and reorient itself to the blue marker on the nav ball there at the bottom, in the center. About 10 minutes out, I believe. Yep, and once it's done that, it'll re-warp itself the rest of the way to the to the maneuver node. As far as the target, the maneuver target, if it gets off again, it'll stop at 3 minutes and readjust. Alright, so our target is here and traveling slower than we are, and we are here traveling faster than our target. So as we burn here to speed up, or to rather, yeah, we're going to add speed to our ship. We're going to slowly move out to a higher orbit, but in the process we're actually going to lose a total amount of speed. We're adding speed to extend our orbit, but we're actually going to lose speed relative to the ground at this location. It's okay. Alright, so our Hohmann transfer worked quite well. let's go ahead and drop back out of map mode so we can watch the ship in real time and you can see what's been going on. Let's turn our lights on so we can see the ship in all its full, brightly lit glory. I think we used floodlights next time. This is lighting up all these ridges really well, but not so much the ship itself. Which is cool, but... be nice to see it with flashlight or with floodlights next time. The Mark II kind of lights. All right, so we are 1 hour, 12 minutes out from this, which we're going to end up meeting and intercepting this lander right here. This is one we just took off from the surface of Gilly, if you remember, and put into orbit. And this is the ship we flew all the way from Kermin to pick up the people who are in here. So what we're going to do is intercept this. We're going to match speeds at this point, at which point we'll be floating very close to each other in very, very much the same orbit. We will then dock with this thing and transfer all the people to here, and then we'll send this guy back to Kermin. And at some point, we'll go to sleep. It may be before that happens or after that happens. If we can find our target yet on the screen. I don't see, oh, there it is right there. Gilly Lander, 2.7 kilometers away. It's very close. And come in very quickly. So, once we reach 10 minutes, we'll stop and reorient to our maneuver node again. And then we will It will warp all the way to the maneuver node the rest of the way. And the ship is going to burn at the maneuver node for 1.3 meters per second in order to match speeds with that other capsule there. And actually this ship here is probably more unwieldy than the other capsule. So since the other capsule there has monopropellant left of any kind, we're going to go ahead and swap ships momentarily after the, in order to try and use the rest of the monopropellant in this thing to dock. Because it'll just be a lot easier that way. There we go. And we have pretty much matched speeds. All right. Stop that. We want to spin this thing around. All right, so it's still approaching at 0.03 meters per second. No big deal. What I'm doing is I'm spinning to face the target itself in order to make docking easier, since we won't have to traverse the entire spaceship. I want to point the ship right at so yes, it's more unwieldy, but all right, so now we're pointed right at that thing. Now we're going to swap to this one. For the pickup ship, what we're going to do is there we go, point right at it. Bam, there we go. And we have, as far as monopropellant goes, 10.92 units. So we are going to activate our RCS thrusters in docking mode. Rotational mode is fine. We actually will use linear mode for this. We're going to pick up some speed toward this guy. 2 meters per second. We can warp, get there a little quicker. Alright, so we gotta fix what we're doing here. Linear is fine, but we need to move. There we go. Make our approach a little better. So we want to open this hatch, open the shield, control from here. And over here, we're a little far out to target individual components still. As we get closer, we will start seeing the individual components, and we'll target the airlock or the docking port on the Gilly pickup ship. This is going to work out great. Set that as the target. Activate the camera. There we go. So what you do when you set... Oh, no. We're gonna bump. We bumped. Not quite how we wanted to do it. It happens. Luckily we did not bump hard. I ran out of RCS is the problem, and I was traveling too quickly. So, no big deal. We can make this happen. We can make this happen with the big ship. Same deal. We'll just back up a bit. Start nudging over. Alright, so what we do is we set the other docking port as our target, and we control the ship from the docking port we're trying to dock to it. And that gives us the ability to use all the controls as if that's your cockpit. And the camera, which I'm pretty sure is a mod that I have installed, but maybe not. The camera will give you the ability to see from the perspective of the docking port itself. Now we're going to swap back out, we're going to turn off RCS and SAS, and we're just going to let them come together. Boom. We are docked. Now we can transfer Kerbals. Transfer crew. Valentina to the command pod. Transfer crew. Odorf, what is he? He's an engineer. You can sit in the command pod. And finally, Gisela. She's a scientist. She can go sit in the science pod. Alright, now we got to transfer crew from here. That's Nielsy. Scientist. Go sit here. And last but not least is Mira. I believe she's a pilot. Oh, she's a scientist as well. Well, she gets to sit up here in the command pod because there's no other room. Alright, so this ship was no longer useful. No crew in either of them. So that ship being no longer useful, I'm just going to go ahead and Undock. Why can't I undock that? Can I undock this one? I can. Undocked. Alright. This ship is now separate from the other ship. We got 5 Kerbals inside. Fantastic. This guy here, not useful anymore, except maybe as a mobile science lab. I guess we could come visit it again and just put people inside it. So we'll just leave it running, leave it hanging out, and back away from it. Excellent. All right. Advanced transfer to another planet. Next target selection. Celestial bodies. No targets found. Probably because we are orbiting Gilly right now and not its parent planet. So what we're gonna do is try to enter an orbit around Eve. Gonna do that. Adding a maneuver. Running prograde. We escape the velocity of Menmis, or of Gilly rather. We're going to attempt to make a somewhat circular orbit. This will do nicely. Yes, I like this. That'll be fine. Okay, we'll get a circular orbit. Hopefully without any encounters. Let's abort that node execution. We don't want to go through the planet. That's always a bad idea. Really, really bad idea. So, add a maneuver. An RCS off. It's affecting our orbit. SAS on. Let's just burn for escape velocity. That's like nothing. Okay, execute that node. 2 hours, huh? Shoot, we can do that with RCS, which we have a ton of. Such a pretty spaceship. So you can't even turn lights on and off when you're in non-physics warp. I don't know that we're going to be able to get all the way back to Kermin tonight, but we will get on our way. This, of course, is the Gilly lander we just rendezvoused with and then left behind. All right, 2 minutes. Okay. Okay. We have an escape velocity. And we are around Eve. 90,000 meters. Okay, so I apologize, I haven't been talking for a bit. I've been thinking in my head, and I should think it out loud as I'm doing stream. So what I'm doing is I use this pork chop chart here to select a day that was decent meters per second, decent delta V, with a departure time of 132 days instead of 2 years. The best departure window with the absolute lowest delta V would be in 2 years and some change. I'm looking at a departure date of just 132 days away from where we started, which is phenomenal. So we're going to get a Kermin encounter there. I think we're going to... I don't know when we're going to hit off the maneuver here, 170 days or so. Maybe it didn't work like I was hoping it would. It was 132 days, but I was well beyond 132 days, obviously, so. Looks like we're going to begin right here. I'll count a Kerbal here. That'll work out well. Here we go. Peace out, Eve. There she is. We have plenty of Delta V. Engines are online. Burn's going to take us a little bit of time, but we're going to be all right. Good Hollywood. Once we get en route back to Kermin, I think we're going to have to sign off. And we'll continue our rescue another day. It's been a very long process. Trial and error. And I hope that anybody watching thought it was fun. I doubt anybody will really watch all 3 hours and 10 minutes of it now in the future, but hey, until YouTube starts charging for the amount of videos been uploaded, I'm really not going to worry about it. The only problem with the nuclear engines is they're a bit underpowered, they're slow, which is fine. They do their job. They're very efficient. And that's the important part. They're just slow. Getting close to our engine cutoff in 30 seconds here. Such a nice looking ship. Not a fantastic looking ship, but a nice looking ship. It's simple. There's all the components necessary to make this mission happen, and nothing superfluous at all. Doesn't even have any science on it. All I do is a Kerbal inventory system, which means I could probably add science to it if I so chose. Alright, we have reached escape velocity and are bound for Kerbal. Drift in space. On our way to Kermin. So, focus view on Kermin. See what kind of an approach we have. We are going right through the planet on a very strange elliptical course. So we need to make a mid-course correction here. Okay, we're there. Let's go ahead and add our maneuver fairly early in the journey so that we can try to make it as good as we can. There we are. And that is the proper direction to orbit Kermin. See, I think our space station is at 250 meters, so let's come in at 300. An equatorial orbit. Boom. Alright, and then at the periapsis we will attempt to make our 340. Alright, 299, and our periapsis should be right on the plane. Execute that node. And we're going in the proper orbital direction for Kerbin. It'll turn out good. I believe these little fast forward buttons are part of Kerbal alarm clock, in case you were wondering. An add-on you can get with the CCAN program I showed you earlier. So right now we're coming in like vertically and through the planet, and we really want to fix that. We want to fine-tune it and bring it this trajectory. So right here at the periapsis we can level it out and enter circular orbit at 300 kilometers around the planet, so that we can set up a home and transfer to our station and dock with it. And there we are. Now, right here, add maneuver. What we're going to do is we're going to bring in be a heavy maneuver, but I think we're gonna have all the delta V we're gonna need for this. Maybe. Oh, this is going to be a strong deceleration burn. We are not going to have the delta V we were hoping for. 1488. 1519. Yep. We're going to have enough to get into orbit. And an equatorial plane. Circular orbit, but that is probably all we're gonna have. And that's a 4-minute burn. Wow, that is insane. Let's go ahead and watch this happen. Look how fast our orbit is gonna be. 11,644.8 meters per second right now. That's the speed we are at right now. We gotta slow down a lot. We have to remove only 1,488 meters per second. Wow. Here, before we do that, let's just quick save. And let's remove this. Thinking maybe 65 kilometers. That's too much in the atmosphere. Maybe 55. You don't want to get too deep so you burn up. 55, maybe 60. What that'll do, it's 10 kilometers inside. Let's go 55. And what that'll do is that will give us an aero brake, hopefully helping us to enter an orbit. An aero brake maneuver. We're going to use the atmosphere of the planet Kerbin in order to help us enter an orbit. And we're going to do it and see how much deceleration we get off of it. If we can get into an actual orbit, that would be fantastic, no matter what size of orbit it is, because we can save a lot of fuel by doing that. Okay. We're gonna see how this works out. That was a really fast time warp. Delete. All right, we are currently 260,000 kilometers. Orbiting at 3,128 meters per second and closing. So, current periapsis is at 56,000 meters, 56 kilometers. Let's see. Base the ship prograde. Let's face the ship at the normal. Go ahead and retract our solar panels and our antennas. We don't want to break them off during this braking maneuver. We seem to have plenty of battery power. I put a lot of battery power right there. Okay, so this will bring us in sideways and hopefully give us a very heavy braking maneuver through the atmosphere. Right now we are still set for escape velocity quite quickly. So we're going to see what kind of a brake we get off of the atmosphere. We're almost about to enter the atmosphere. 80,000, 86,000. Once we hit 70, we'll be in the atmosphere. And then our goal is to get down to 15 kilometers inside the atmosphere. This ship's moving really fast. That's in real time. Alright, we are inside the atmosphere. But we are still accelerating. Never a good thing. Our apoapsis is not coming down fast enough. I think we're going to have to burn. And help it out. We'll do this again from the reload. We'll reload, do this again. We are overheating in several places, but nothing, only one thing terribly critically right now. We haven't blown anything up yet, so that's good. We are climbing back out. We are bringing our... We are bringing it in for a curve. We're definitely going to have to do some braking on our own. But I think this aero brake maneuver has been successful. Let's face retrograde. Back out of the atmosphere again, so we're going to face retrograde and we're going to burn in a retrograde direction. We're going to finish braking. I feel like we've just saved a lot of fuel. So remember, it was going to take us like 1,400 fuel meters per second in fuel just to enter orbit. And right now we're very close to creating an actual elliptical orbit. And we're not even down below 1,000 yet. We haven't taken up 500 yet. There we go. Bam. We're bringing this down about 300 if possible. Oh yes, this is much better. That aero brake helped us a lot. We're going to have all the fuel in the world that we need to do our maneuvers that we want to do. And now we go ahead and stop that. Alright, at the apoapsis, change the periapsis. Next apoapsis to 300. Create node, that'll only take 77, fantastic. Execute node. And then we'll bring this one in to 300 as well. Here, we'll bring up space stations so you can see where we're aiming for. It's at 250. I'm going to change the inclination while we have it way out here because that is going to give us a cheaper inclination change burn than doing it when we're closer to the planet. And then hopefully we'll have enough fuel to bring in the apoapsis all the way to 300K. Could be tight. Definitely be tight. So the aero braking maneuver turned out really good. I think if we would have added to the braking while we were in the atmosphere, it would have been even more efficient. So next time I'll have to try that. Alright, we're very slowly changing our inclination here. Alright. Now, change the apoapsis to 300 at the next periapsis. And we've got it. Execute. We have the fuel to do that. Fantastic. And a couple hundred meters per second left over to hopefully maneuver into range of the space station, which we'll do a Hohmann transfer to as soon as we are done with the circularization here. Abort node. Circularize at the next periapsis, create and execute. Move all nodes, create and execute. Alright, let's see what we get. 551.6 meters per second. And we should have enough to hopefully get to Space Station Freedom, which is what I called it, at 249. 1.5 burn on this, wow. So yeah, when you're trying to change the plane of a orbital item, the further out you do it, the cheaper it is, because you're burning perpendicularly to your orbital plane in order to change the inclination, and that is creating a large amount of delta V required to do so. The slower you are, the less relative delta V you need to change the plane. So the further out you are, the slower you are in order to maintain orbit around the planet, and therefore the further out you are, the cheaper it is. Very interesting, huh? I think this shuttle's about to become a permanent part of the space station until we can get some more fuel into that orbit to fuel it back up. Oh, we know it can get to Gilly. That's easy, and pick people up and get back. And Eve, if we were to use a arrow brake maneuver there as well, we might be able to handle that as well. Alright, let's see if we can... That Space Station Freedom says target. Omen transfer. Oh, easy, yeah. Execute next node. Alright, so we're totally going to make rendezvous with the space station. Omen transfer. Match velocities. Execute all nodes. Although I feel like we should probably extend board node execution, our solar panels, and our antennas. So we can generate electricity, you know? Execute all nodes. There we go. Now we're powered up again. We were running low on electric power. We good now. We are good now. Alright, so we are burning retrograde to slow down our ship's velocity and decrease our orbit. So that we can intercept. Where is she? Oh, I don't know where she is. Sure, we'll see her come up soon. There she is. It's on the outer edge of MechJeb's ability to get you there, but it's there, right on the outer edge. Alright, let's get facing toward it and head towards it. Alright, so if you are going toward a target, the pink is a target, the green is your velocity vector. If you're moving toward a target, you want to pull the green velocity vector towards you. We are now moving at 1.6 meters per second towards the target. If you're moving away from a target, or pointing away, rather, you're going to push the green target we're going to move toward it at approximately 15 meters per second. And we will slow down as we approach it. Alright, anti-target. Turn our lights back on. This is what I'm talking about pushing. So if I gas now, whichever side of I'm on of the green thing, it'll fly away from my orange dot. So you have to kind of control it by moving to the other side of the green. So if the green was here, I have to move over here in order to push it back towards the pink. Alright, we are getting within 1 kilometer here real shortly. There we go. We're going to slow down to 10 meters per second. Once we get below 400 or 300, we'll slow to 5 meters per second. Because we do not want to collide with that space station. This is what I was talking about, having to burn on the other side of it in order to push it back. Alright, so we're now 2 meters per second. We're going to go ahead and switch over to docking mode. While we're still approaching. We have years worth of monopropellant here apparently. Barely used any while docking with the other craft, so we're going to use it to dock with this station. I went way too far. Putting some of the RCS on so we can help fix our orientation here. Alright, since I'm going to still be slowing down, I want to push this green guy back towards the center here. Do that have to be on the outside of it. So we're traveling only 0.5 meters per second right now, but I am time warping to make the relative apparent time go faster whilst ignoring the I don't know if we have a docking port available. Alright. Let's swap over and look. Oh no. I think we're out of docking ports. We sure are. Alright, well, swap back over. The only problem with leaving these guys in orbit right next to each other like this is their orbits aren't absolutely perfect. They might still hit each other. That ship does not have enough fuel to get back, and it does not have the ability to land. There's no ability to dock either. I'm going to have to create a new docking module, send it up to the space station. Remove one of these and dock it. Interesting conundrum I have. I really thought I had a spare docking port on this thing. Alternatively, ship's not designed to go apart. It could become the power module for this, but I think not. That was an oversight. But, ladies and gentlemen, we got the dang Kerbals home-ish. You know, theoretically, there's no parachutes, it wouldn't survive. I'll say theoretically, this all could act as a heat shield for this, and maybe this, but there's no parachutes, and it won't survive. At least 2 of the Kerbals will die, probably all of them. Alright, well, that was fun. We shall have to create a new docking port, or new docking area for the Kerbals next time. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, have a good night.